Rob, what is our third main topic today?
Well, our third main topic comes to us from Brian Meadows. I recently read in a few places that it's confirmed that the Percy Jackson show will be utilizing the volume during filming. Like many of you, I felt that the use of it in Obi-Wan was to the detriment of the 5th episode especially. I wanted to know your thoughts and if this has affected your anticipation for the show. Thanks, and bring on the filthy.
All right, thanks a lot for saying that in, man. And yeah, first of all, there were a lot more people than I were anticipating getting excited when they said they were going to be doing a Percy Jackson series. I personally like the movies. I didn't love the second one, but I personally thought the first one was pretty good. It introduced us to a guy I'm still a fan of, Logan Lerman, at the time, who I thought was pretty good in the role. Now, granted, I never read the book, so no, it was nothing like the books, Todd. Okay, I get it, but I didn't read the books. Fine. I just watched the movie and I judged it in its own right. I thought it was pretty good. But there's a lot of great mythology there. So to revisit the Percy Jackson thing, I'm all for. And yeah, it looks like they're going to be using the volume, the same stages that they've used for Mandalorian famously. Of course, they used a lot for Obi-Wan and some other things as well. This comes from the folks over at The Hollywood Reporter who write the following. Upcoming Disney Plus series Percy Jackson and the Olympians is taking the virtual production route. The 20th Century series, based on Rick Riordan's best-selling novels, has started production in Vancouver, Canada, and will be the first project to be made on Industrial Light and Magic's newly built Stagecraft LED stage, which features a 95-foot LED screen. With ILM Stagecraft technology, we allow filmmakers to design, light, and shoot the digital world as they would in practical world, all integrated in front of the cast and crew on stage, said Chris Bannister, the executive producer of ILM Stagecraft. All right. Guys, the person who wrote in the message alluded to the fact that in Obi-Wan, the use of the volume became rather obvious, and they suggest to the detriment of the show. I would disagree on this level. The volume is simply a tool. I would say what was to the detriment of Obi-Wan was not just the writing of it per se, but the visualization of what they wanted that show to be. All the volume then does is it, as a piece of technology, tries to deliver the things you are visualizing. And if you want to visualize barren desert worlds, okay. If you want to visualize other certain things, because there were parts of Obi-Wan, I would say like at the, what's it called again? The Inquisitorius? Was that the name of the base? The Inquisitorium? The Inquisitor Wonderland Wonka?
Something like that.
Whatever it was.
The future Disneyland.
I would say yes, probably, definitely. But the Inquisitor home base, I actually thought looked fairly good when they were shooting their scenes there. I think it's, again, the problem isn't the tool. The problem was the visualization of what they were doing. Because when we first saw it in Mandalorian, we were wowed, right? Yes, a lot of it was the same desert kind of landscapes, but it was visualized a little bit differently and it didn't feel as confined. So, again, I don't blame the tool itself. Therefore, for me, I don't see them utilizing the volume in Percy Jackson as a good or a bad thing. I mean, it's good in some ways that it's going to allow them to do certain things that they'd never be able to afford to do on a television budget, no matter how big you think TV budgets are. So that's a good thing. But again, it's just a tool. It's all about how do the wielders of the tools use it, right? And that's the ultimate question. Anyway, Rob, I know we've been amazed by the technology that something like the volume allows. What do you think about Percy Jackson, the Olympians, taking this route?
Well, John, on one hand, the thing that people have to understand about volume stages, on limited television budgets, the volume stages allow you to create vistas and places you couldn't afford, nor could you afford to go on location. And I'm sure with a show like Percy Jackson, with a lot of fantasy elements, it's going to allow you to visualize things that are tremendous. But like everything else, the people that are utilizing the tools really have to understand what those tools can do and how you can utilize them. You know, I'll give you an example of something from, this is going to seem strange for people, but in Obi-Wan Kenobi, there is a 50-50 shot of a Star Destroyer going by right through the camera, 50-50, and the Star Destroyer is firing. You should never, ever show a Star Destroyer in a 50-50 shot that way. It's not dynamic. It looks dumb. It makes one of the great imposing starships ever look goofy. You always should show Star Destroyers in some kind of an angle, never a 50-50, but they did it. And you're looking at it because I understand. That's when a director has to come in and really understand, look, man, it's just like an actor. With a volume stage, you have to understand, because what a volume stage does, so for people that don't know, is you have a generated background that also works with the camera, like on a parallax, so it can move as you move the camera, and it's incredible technology. It's amazing, but you have to know how to use it and which angles you can shoot from, and that requires pre-planning, and it requires a director to really understand how to utilize the technology, just like anything else. And I think for a show like Percy Jackson, the volume stage is going to be a huge benefit, as long as it's pre-planned and everybody's on the same page and you don't get a shot. And I think often we've seen this in Obi-Wan and Book of Boba Fett. The directors aren't necessarily as practiced, or they aren't involved in the process from the beginning enough. And I think it's going to require, as we see, like Deborah Chow has had a lot of experience using the volume, and I think she used it quite well for the most part in Obi-Wan. Sometimes maybe not so much, but it is a new technology. It's developing, and for the most part, we're going to be able to see in especially fantasy shows a lot of great stuff that you couldn't otherwise see. It would be too much money to realize those on a television budget.
Chris, you hear about this. I mean, it is remarkable technology that most of the industry isn't really using yet. What do you think about them going in this direction and getting their hands on this technology and using this new stage?
I think it depends on who's behind the camera. John, you mentioned it and you said it, like, this is a great new tool, but it's just a tool, right? So, in the hands of, say, someone like a Christopher Nolan, I think you're going to get amazing results, because I think he's an incredibly detail-oriented director who looks for the best method to, achieve a special effect. You could also put it in the hands of, say, an Uwe Boll, and it may not turn out so well. Shout out to Uwe Boll. But also, so I really just think that this is a new tool. People are just getting used to it. It's just like when blue screens were first introduced, like in the 70s, you'd see there's good blue screen, say in the original Star Wars films, or there's bad blue screen, such as and I'm going to bring up Ornella Moody again. In Flash Gordon, there was very bad blue screen where you could see the lines around things where it's just not lit correctly. Same thing in David Lynch's Dune. There's some shots there that were just pretty god-awful because not utilizing the technology correctly. So I think, it's about utilizing that tool in the best way. And Rob, you brought it up, that 50-50 shot, that also bothered me. If you're going to shoot something like a Star Destroyer, there has to be some dynamism, right? There has to be something that makes it look imposing, and they even kind of repeated a shot in Kenobi, and I've, I don't want to get in a Kenobi debate. I'm saying that these tools depends on whose hands they're in. And I think because it's so new, we've seen it used well. We've seen it used not so well. I'm sure we'll discuss it maybe a little bit when we get to Thor: Love and Thunder. But again, I think it's like pushing the limits of this technology, and in the hands of someone who knows how to shoot a Star Destroyer, which is not in the 50-50, and someone who would think of a different way of showing it. So that's important.
Guys, the question is for you. What do you think about this? Are you looking forward to a Percy Jackson movie or a new series? I'm actually very curious to see what they can do. What do you think about the fact that they're going to utilize the volume to do it? Good, bad, indifferent, whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. We want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of today's video, Stamps.com. Now, guys, as a small business owner myself, I'm always looking for ways to save costs, yes, but I know that our most valuable resource is time, and I'm always looking for things that can save us time. Stamps.com saves you both. Because when you're running a small business, every second counts. You can't afford to waste a single moment. So why are you still taking time out of your day to go to the post office when you could be using Stamps.com instead? Stamps.com makes mailing
mailing and shipping quick, easy, and cost-effective. How cost-effective? Well, you can get discounts that you can't find anywhere else, like up to 30% off USPS rates and 86% off UPS. And there's no special hardware technology you need. All you need is your regular computer and printer, no special supplies or equipment required. So guys, stop wasting time and start saving money when you use Stamps.com to mail and ship. Sign up with the promo code CAMPEA for a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts needed. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the page, and enter the code CAMPEA.